Hey guys, it's Iris. I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. It's me, your professional yapper and intermediate artist. So this is a follow-up video to the previous one, the one before this video, talking about the awareness documents against TT. If you don't know who TT is, she is a YouTuber, an art YouTuber or art TikTok poster or creator or whatever. There's an entire document made about her because of a lot of accusations or allegations such as drawing lollybait art, being a predator, being a bad server owner to her server, Ttzewo's art server, and a lot more other things that I covered that wasn't even in the document but was discovered later on. A small snippet of the document is playing right now on the screen. Today we are finally going to go over TT quote-unquote debunking or denying all the allegations and quote-unquote misinformation. I mean, some of them are misinformation. I do point that out when I'm reading it, but most of the other things, let's just say you can't really see them as misinformation, and I'm going to put the recording up right now. Okay, so TT has finally created a giant document basically addressing whatever has been said against her. So I haven't read it yet, so I'm gonna record myself reading this and go through with it. This is going to be quick and straightforward to clarify claims on allegations and misinformation. So I'm assuming the allegations link is going to lead to the first initial 69-page document. So let's continue on. Point number 1, unsafe users in the server not banned. Claim is that the predators were not banned and allowed to roam free in the server full of minors. Clarification false. The users were all banned by default, and ban means no access to the server. Unsafe users not blacklisted. So the claim says that predators not blacklisted. This server supports and protects the behavior. Clarification false. We do not support this behavior. All users are banned by default. We have already addressed this below regarding blacklist. So this is actually the Q&A I was talking about, with TT addressing some concerns but leaving it pretty vague. So let's reread it. Addressing serious concerns. So first, let's address some of the more serious questions. I want to address a few allegations people are saying regarding blacklist. Specifically, a group of unsafe users were banned. However, the blacklist attempt was not made. This is because we condone it. But this is not because we condone it. It is a large factor on miscommunication with outdated staff procedure guidelines, which we hear and now are updating. Prior to this, from the start, Blacklist channel was made only to spread awareness of specifically art-related scammers, all of the above, which were only types we accepted. That is a standard procedure. There's been more concerns with increasing amount of unsafe users, like bad actors, and the need to change the system to properly bring awareness to these users. We agree with this and feel your concern, which is why all default blacklists will now include both categories. And she did make a channel for scammers and the unsafe, inappropriate people. Staff guidelines are also reworked for smoother procedures. This allows staff to be able to execute more confident moderations without miscommunication. We are sorry for making late updates on this, and therefore concerns brought are implemented. Next would be the topic of why unsafe users were not previously encouraged to discuss in chat channels. A lot of people are concerned that by doing so, we are protecting or keeping the reputation of these users. However, that is completely misunderstood and false. This is staff procedure that ties to a few of our rules. 1, no drama rule. 2, keeping chat a light space for everyone. If you find that it is unfair, you are not able to continue to discuss these topics, you actually can. I will go over examples of what you can and cannot do to properly bring awareness, at the same time respectfully abiding our server rules. When asked, you are allowed to share a short awareness statement, and if made along with our blacklist on the topic, copy the blacklisting and share. You may also share this privately if you wish. You are, however, not allowed to harass users, make hateful connotations, or continue the topic with hostile intentions, dirty talk, etc. This creates a toxic environment that is not aligned with what we want to enforce. Awareness is allowed, however, harmful environment is not. Knowing the limit is best. Consider other members that are also using the space, including the new members that are using the space for its purpose, whether it be art chat, or other spaces. No matter what or how much these things are deserved or not, we shouldn't lower and stoop to that level. At some point, it gets extremely toxic, and we become no different. Such actions are not condoned, whether they deserve it or not. Therefore, it is standard that if you are caught doing this, you will face heavy consequences. Now, if you are unsure of what is allowed, you are always welcome to make a help ticket to get staff feedback on this. We always welcome it. Now, with the topic of spreading misinformation and indulging in hateful remarks, we do not tolerate this. Coming forward, we will be more strict and execute solid moderation actions for users engaging in harmful defamation attempts. If you wish to give feedback or discuss any topics you are concerned or unsure about, you are always welcome to create a ticket. Spreading such informations in public spaces with that intention is not the way to go and will be handled immediately from now on. Okay, so going to point 3. Server break is a cover attempt, and a lot of people were thinking this, so it's good that's going to be addressed here. Claim is that the server break was an attempt to disregard concerns of unsafe users, their existence in the server, and other problematic behaviors. Clarification is false. The break has been an ongoing consideration for months prior due to overgrowing demands on the server and multiple factors such as wallet size and activity and demand, staff size, a small staff team to account for growing demand, staff to member ratio around 30 to 200,000, difficulties to keep up, more applications needed to open, and staff system needed to change to keep up. The server size was too large with 200k members growing with each day. Like around the time that anonymous person's long review about volunteer work was created, it was about 229,000, and right now it's 233,000 within the span of about a few weeks. Running 24/7, moderation and management was easier when the server was small. No proper break was issued until now. Too large activity margin with up to 70,000 interactions a day. Heavy moderation is needed to cover social and market spaces, which is a challenge with a small staff to member ratio. This was actually being attempted to improve because now there are art staff applications. Over 100 plus ticket cases ongoing at all times, ranging from general inquiries, reports, or artist role claims. Support desks are full every day. Staff did not have proper breaks and difficulties keeping up, a significant demotivation and stress factor. Number 2 is expectations. High server and staff expectations are staff are criticized for slow communication. Reality is the server is understaffed and it is difficult to get back to all users in a timely manner. However, then they try their best to keep up with a small team. Number 3 is huge backlog of updates. New rules were added, meaning lots of outdated information needed to be clarified. This applies internally and externally for both staff and external server systems. This includes moderation rules, guides, offense severity reference, clarification, etc. External systems such as updated frequently asked questions, role requirements, ticket system, server and market rules, etc. because they were outdated. There were growing demands, meaning growing list of pending backlogs, along with internal and external pressure, which was heavy and demotivating, which was a very heavy and demotivating process. There was a lack of staff appreciation and respect for staffs overall, which I can kind of confirm. In forms such as increasing backlash, aggression, or disrespect towards staff, TT is known to apparently not like disrespect towards staff, which is justifiable. Individuals performing their tasks on a daily, this is not tolerated. Staff accusations and hate, the lack of research on topics and misinformation about staff portrayed in medias was harmful. Communication. Lack of communication on changes and updates, lack of transparency, therefore misinformation and assumptions were formed. This caused frustration in all parties. Proper form of understanding and communication between owners, staffs, and members was never formed. Backlash was was formed from areas of lack of awareness. People could only assume from lack of information, which is understandable. Users unaware of task of internal staff team overall. Example, helpers do not handle tickets. That is ticket assist plus mod task. There was also stress. A lack of harmony and understanding between parties resulted in a more toxic environment equals more stress. Example is new members unable to fit in, and there was a lot of toxic behavior towards low-level members. Oftentimes, certain things are outside of the system control and more of a general community issue, and it was an unhealthy environment to harbor properly. Stress factors come into play in every aspect listed. A proper break was needed to decluster and rework. Initially, this was meant to be closed until further notice, meaning no estimated duration due to the ongoing stress and server demands. However, a lot of users expressed the need to use Marketplace for daily expense, and this was reconsidered and updated with a more reassuring time frame later. Unsafe individuals were brought up shortly after server break, we have discussed above. It was, however, not at all a factor to server break nor a cover. That is completely false. I think it's just bad timing, not in TT's defense, but it also came out around the same time as the server break period. I admit the server break message was an emotional one. This was due to my own personal frustrations with server demands above and invisible weights of owning a server that sometimes staff and members do not understand. Number 4 is concerning behaviors left off lightly. Claim is that part, which is the person making a predatory comment but was only given a heavy warn. It was pretty early on in the document. Clarification: they were issued a heavy warn away from ban. This is not light. They were banned upon the case review request after server break, which was then moderation guides were clarified and more solid. I, however, do acknowledge ban clarity and procedures should be revised to deliver more confident moderation actions. More consistent moderation guides needed to be reworked, and that is something I take seriously as a staff team as a whole. We apologize for this mistake on our part. However, no such behaviors are not welcome here. We do not condone such behaviors and we will continue to work to improve our moderation for this. I am not aware of moderation cases as I do not handle moderation. However, I acknowledge that it is my responsibility to continue to forming better moderation guidelines, and I apologize for any lack of clarity in this. Number 5 is server reviews. Claims is that server review was changed to feedback to shut down criticism and cover up. Clarification is false. The idea of a channel was revamped to encourage users to bring in solutions of their own. Respectful criticism is allowed. It is not to cover up or shut down criticism, nor did feedback get deleted. That is completely false. You can still view that conversation today. And I'm assuming it's talking about like previous head mods and the anonymous person talking about volunteer stuff, etc. Claims. Next one is claim is server suggestions and reviews complaints disregarded, and an instance of allowing volunteer work for hiring channel was denied. Clarification: false. Suggestions do get implemented if we find it fit with our system. Some suggestions do not align and therefore get rejected. It is only the nature of proposing something as a suggestion. In this case, volunteer work was removed in hiring channels a few months prior due to raising concerns and other suggestions prior by members. To remove this aspect, this decision was reviewed by staff team and implemented shortly after to keep up with our minimum art request guidelines or rules, which is the $10 budget for buyers, I'm assuming. It is only fair to keep this for other types of hiring such as bot development, scripting, writing commissions, voice acting, other service, etc. Therefore, it was required to hire with a budget specified. Following our paid art request guides to avoid underpayment for hiring commission services, this has been an ongoing discussion, and a few users suggested to bring it back. This was later denied for that reason in suggestions and again in server reviews. This has been an ongoing discussion for several months on a change that has been denied for multiple reasons listed in staff reviews. For this understanding between member and the system, this frustration was visible in the response. This frustration is true, and I apologize for the harsh words. However, disregarded is false. This change was implemented in the first place by another member's suggestion, which was accepted and therefore implemented. So this is like one of the most serious ones now. Is going to the old artworks. Owner draws sexualized children, lollybait, and therefore is a pedo. I don't agree with the last one, not gonna lie. But like the rest is like kind of debatable. So TT denies these claims, and she has never drawn children in such manners. These are heavy and serious accusations, and it should not be assumed lightly and blown out of proportions. And she will not tolerate behavior that supports that. Read carefully, and please do not assume what I say here are my facts. As an artist, my first social was Twitter or X back in 2021. I was a learning artist and still minor, assuming probably around what? It was like around 4 years ago. She should have been around like 16 or 17, depending on the months, or around 18 with that puka art. Some of my art were not very good and well-formed as it is currently. I admit this. During this, I have attempted to learn multiple aspects of art and common artist struggles, such as finding a style, anatomy, or rendering. Starting out, I was heavily inspired by anime art growing up. Therefore, my style heavily leans towards this blend. Anime art consists of distinct characteristics like large, expressive eyes, stylized hair, and simple facial features like small noses and mouths. That's the main part. I'm not going to read the rest. It's not that important. So the style patterns you will see is a big head, head bigger than body, large eyes, small to no nose, rendered or black and white. My style was not consistent yet, and as you will see here, the 2021 March to May, some are commissions and some are personal works. I've attempted starting out. You can see me posting some references alongside it, and I was learning the platform and forming connections and joining art events. These are some arts. 2021 June 11, I was always super excited to draw and post. I was very motivated, did a lot of practice in art and free requests for the community. These were all done in a day to show my excitement. Here are some more examples going on. June 12 to 13, the next days I posted more random arts practice during my free time. So this second one is the one that a lot of people are concerned with. The claim is that this is a sexual depiction of a child. Fact, apparently. I deny this claim. 1, this is not a child. 2, this is not a sexual depiction. This is my attempt at drawing someone yawning, as in they're feeling sleepy from waking up. Never did I state that this is a child, let alone any sexual intentions. My attempt in anatomy was horrible, and as I was not able to do clothing folds very well, my hand anatomy was bad, as you can see here. Similarities are circled from a yawning reference comparison to show my point below. Red bubbles to emphasize feeling sleepy. So you can see this around here. There's like an explanation for like the bubbles for yawning or sleeping. I think for some people who read manga or anything like that, they will know what it is. So yellow is the direction of the hand motion stretching from waking up. Blue ZZZ referred to being sleepy. From waking up, bed hair and drool is visible here along with the stretching motions on an attempt to capture a person waking up in the morning, getting up, and yawning. So here TT captions the post as yawns, and she said I'm asleep. So here's another example. See, these are the bubbles you might see in manga and stuff. So June to November, this is continued work and random medias in between. May and August, continue personal and commission work, practice more complex anatomy, stylizations, rendering, and lighting not seen before. More colors were added instead of black and white sketches, and some of these are the artworks shown in the document as proof of lollybait. Claim that this is a sexual depiction of a child, talking about likely these two and 3. She says that she denies this claim. This is not a child. This is an adult OC used to study anatomy. This old piece is an anatomy and shading study of a belly and chest shape based on reference, along with lighting practice with layers. This is why you can see in such details such as abs, rib placement, stomach lining shapes, and how it interacts with the clothing. I have outlined in blue. From this point on, you will see me draw bellies a lot more, with the same shading principles applied. And this again is another claim of sexual depiction of a child and lollybait. I deny this claim. It is not child or lollybait. As stated many times, this was an all commission for an artist couple at a time. These OCs are from adults, depicting adults. Don't make these claims, as I was a minor during this and did not depict it in such harmful ways. I wanted to convey a cute peace point pose while holding the other partner as a plushie. VOC in pose reference below this one. Both outfits were fully based on the reference provided. The female outfit here is much like the idea of swimsuits and bikini in art, which is normal, no sexual intentions. The render here was applied after some lighting studies I did. Similar to the piece above, I struggled to draw her anatomy better to have a solid foundation of her shape. I do apologize if this was perceived as younger. This is in fact not my intention, nor is it a design I have picked. Over time, I've gained more artistic confidence with body anatomy and styling. So like you can see the OCs right here is genuinely the same outfit, I suppose. Claim is harding comments that suggest childlike features, meaning I support sexual depiction of a child. So the next clarification is that this is false. During the time I was new, active on TikTok with 500 plus followers, I would try to heart as many comments as possible in each post as a habit. And this is a bad habit, not gonna lie. It's okay to show appreciation, and I do too, with hearting all my YouTube comments. Often each post would have hundreds of comments as it gains more traction. Whether it was a positive or negative reaction, I was not aware and still liked as many as I could on a quick scroll. I don't do this anymore due to my experience as a content creator. There are too many posts and comments to keep up over time due to the nature of growth. I was unaware and apologize for not checking individual comments beforehand. This is a sexual depiction of a child. I deny this claim, and this is not a child. This is the OC in question or character. This is my adult OC sketch design. This is not a depiction of a child in any way, which is my main concern. Her features are a lot more grown as seen below. However, I apologize if the design itself is a bit revealing to post. My intentions for her design were not harmful. However, I was not aware of how others could perceive it. I was still a minor during this, and I understand the concern. Next claim is drawing sexual artwork of canonically children characters, and finally we have gone to the puka art. So the clarification is that she denies this claim. 1, I did not draw her as a child. 2, I was not aware of Puka's age. Kind of interesting. Not that I'm like accusing TT of actually knowing the age. It's normal. But I would genuinely guess that Puka is a child just based off appearances, though. That is just my take. I have never watched Puka before, so I don't know her attitude or how she's portrayed in whatever media she is in. Mina portrayed her and Garu in a more comedic with undertone of romantic themes. It was assumed she was at a more mature age, therefore she was not drawn as a child but an adult. The area of concern was in the sweater design, as I've given her with a heart design on the chest. This, however, was inspired by Garu's heart design on the shirt as a counterpart to complement Puka's. View Garu's default design below. Her expression is not portrayed in a calm or shy. Is portrayed as calm in a shy way. This is completely not in a sexual manner and with no harmful intentions at all. Please do not paint it that way. However, I will take accountability for the lack of awareness of her age. I apologize for not doing proper research before designing this outfit regardless. So I guess this is the supposed Garu, I think. I actually it's kind of hard to tell that whether it's a boob window or like that or genuinely that heart design though. It's really hard to tell. So our next claim is owner is a pedo based on these pieces. Genuinely don't know who started this one, but pretty sure nothing like that was put up in the document or any like other documents. There was no proof of anything like that. Okay. So the clarification is that this is a false. I am not a pedo, nor do I support that in any way. It is truly disgusting and a heavy claim to accuse me of. Prior to me addressing this officially, a lot of things were assumed and blown out of proportions. I have addressed my intentions and process above in details. What you do with that information reflects what you want to believe. I do apologize for not being clear enough in prior, and such harmful claims are not tolerated. What I'm like slightly disappointed about is the fact that when talking to that former staff, TT did not mention this garu or the shirt at all, and was instead talking about anatomy, even though I'm pretty sure the puka art was the main thing. So, okay, next is number 7. This is the last part actually. You can't scroll any further, as you can see. Staff supports concerning behaviors. Claim staff defends pedo and shields unsafe individuals from the server. Clarification again, this is completely false. Find everything you need above. 1. I am not a pedo. 2. Unsafe individuals are banned and blacklisted by default. They have no access to the server in any way. Any form of disrespect and rude comments are not tolerated and will be handled seriously after this clarification comment document is made. Wrapping this up, another important thing I do want to mention is do not blame staff. I apologize for any unpleasant experiences during this process. If you feel like your voices were not heard, we are sorry for this. We do our best to listen to feedback. However, there was a lack of clarity with outdated staff guidelines. Upper staff did not have necessary tools needed prior, and there was a lack of direction for the team, which we are now working towards improving from the core. I am more hands-on after this break and will try my best to ensure the safety of members as well as working with the team to form better moderation guidelines and server experience. Note, misinformation is not tolerated. There will be heavy consequences for any further defamation, hate, or disrespect attempts towards staff, server, or owner. This is very serious and you will risk a permanent ban and blacklist. If you ever need help, however, feel free to ask us privately anytime. We are open to this. So this is the entire document. I've been recording for 25 minutes. It's very long. I'm assuming about maybe the same size or a bit larger than the blacklist awareness document. So I will leave everything up to your interpretation, whether TT is truly innocent or not, and whatnot. So generally, that is basically the entire document. I'm not actually sure of what I said, as in I don't remember anything I said because right now it's the next day. That's why the video is out on a different date, or like about half a day with a half a day interval from the first part. What do you think of TT's document and response? I don't think it's really sufficient. Some parts it is, for like a lot of the big things like having unsafe individuals in the server. I think that probably suffices, but for art and a few more things unresponded to, I'm not very sure at all. But regardless of that, we're gonna move on to back to the awareness document because there has been a new part, although a work in progress. It has some sufficient information that I'm just gonna cover, and I'm likely not gonna cover this again unless there's more drama and more documents that arise from TT, because she says that she is going to rewrite the document and add more things as time goes on. Okay, so I recorded myself reading the debunking document by TT yesterday, but the awareness document has updated with a part for staff mistreatment, and especially for younger staff. So this anonymous staff said, so TT hired me when I was 14. I don't want to say freshly, but I had just basically started my 14s. I can openly say that TT never had sort of controversial or weird behavior towards me during this. She was, I want to say, roughly 18 at the time, and she never did anything that could feed the she's a pedo allegations. Anyway, what I will say is that in my first month of moderation, I was exposed to war gore and other inappropriate content whilst 14. Now, I don't want to put all the blame on TT since I applied for mod myself, but she did accept it. She was having people even younger than this anonymous person moderate her server as it was growing so quickly, knowing that they might get exposed to that sort of stuff. Now, I just want to explain the whole TT protected a pedo who was weird to her own mod, aka me. So he was an 18-year-old male acquaintance. We weren't friends, and he was just active, and the server was small at the time, so everyone knew each other. Throughout his time in the server, he made many inappropriate comments towards me, but only after the last comment was something done. We were in VC and he typed out, "Your voice makes me very blank." Though I was mod, I wasn't the one warning him for it because I didn't feel comfortable. My 13-year-old mod friend was, and she was the one catching him saying this. She warned him, as this was what we were asked to do when people did this sort of stuff, and he was banned for reaching warning threshold afterwards. Not for the comments made about me, but because he maxed out his warns. Safe to say we weren't allowed to talk to people that still talked to him outside of the server about this because TT didn't allow us to, but we obviously still went ahead and DM'd them. Regardless, this was something the community should have known, seeing as he was very active. Moving a bit far along this, since this is kind of hard to keep a perfect timeline, we are entering a period that was maybe late 2023. My closest friends who were mods with me had quit, and if they hadn't, they were mostly inactive. The server was growing way too quickly, and it was already so large, it was just me, still 14, and my best friend, also mod, was running the server together. I find this really wild because from what I'm reading about this, apparently there was only 2 mods. I don't know how many helpers there were, but only 2 mods. Kind of wild. Continuing on, because TT didn't show up for months, she didn't show up when the server got raided by Meowba, where me and my best friend had to manually ban every single person. She didn't show up for numerous times where she was pinged and messaged, and after months of ignoring us, she just came back and said, well, the K-dramas were really good. She left the server for her 2 mods who didn't have any permissions to run the server alone. To add to the didn't have any permissions to run the server part, a lot of people have come out and said, like, a lot of mods or helpers have came out to say that TT doesn't give permissions to, like, all the staff, so they can't do a lot of things sometimes. This is when I started realizing how much of a bad person TT could really be. During the first months of my moderation period, she was really close and active. Then she just started fading away from her own server and left everything for the mods to do. When she came back, and we basically called her out for it and for her lack of help, since we couldn't do anything without perms. And for her actions, she would just vent and cry about everything in order to make me and my best friend feel for her. She emotionally manipulated us for ages, and I never realized this until now. I'm almost 17. I was 14 when this started. TT would purposely manipulate her mods by saying she just wanted to delete the server, and she just fucks up all the time. Until we said something nice and we said, no, it's okay, we'll help you. Then she promised changed, and it never happened. She never changed. She continued doing this until now. I will say I got leaked to a bunch of times. I saw her most recent conversations with staff, and she still does this. Moving on to maybe the middle of 2024, TT started being somewhat active, emphasis on somewhat. We had a whole brand new mod team, the best she'd ever have, but this was also during the time where TT would quite literally throw her mods around as if they were toys to put in the trash. Whenever she gave her own ideas, which mind you were stupid, hence why they never happened, unless she forced this against everyone else's will, when she gave them and asked everyone else what they thought and you said you didn't agree with her, she would purposely shun you out. I remember she raved about this whole idea that we could have a vent channel and we could help people. I was one of the main people disagreeing with this. I didn't think a vent channel for a server full of minors where a predator could easily take advantage of them, since they were obviously not mentally stable, was a good idea. She always ignored this. One day I just came forward, stamped my opinion in her face, and ignored me for months. I would ping her, ignore it, and if someone pinged her afterward, she replied right away. Whenever I made good suggestions, she would ignore them until someone repeated what I said. Only then it was a brilliant idea. I'm just using myself as an example since it's my word, but this happened with multiple staff. Anyone who disagreed with her would in fact be shunned out by her until demoted. But if you agree with her, she'd promote you right away, without any bit of discussion. She was very big on favoritism, and this obviously affected anyone who wasn't favorited. So in my previous video, this was also stated around the end. An ex-helper quite literally said that, a current helper actually said that TT promotes based off of who she finds more friendly or more like a best friend to her, if I remember right. So as an example of this favoritism, continuing on, that I want to give is her current head mod, Blank. She was involved in some problems back in her member days. This was 2023, she was 18, and she said that me and the whole mod team should commit and make fun of us, looking up our socials or artworks just to purposely bully us. Mind you, the team was basically just minors. She apologized for this, and I stepped up and asked her to, and even let her off a bit and promised she wouldn't get in trouble for it. During this, she had also applied for helper, and I did let TT know about this, and she got rejected after some begging. Not long after, I'm pretty sure TT said something in chat and either agreed or helped her out because there was something going on, and just damn promoted blank straight to helper. The whole mod team obviously complained about this since there were trial helpers and we were working their asses off to get helper, and that she just basically bullied us. But TT's really wanted blank as staff, so she became trial helper, even though her team expressed that they were uncomfortable with this now that she did all that. And well, look at her now. TT continued to praise her for doing absolutely nothing. She's barely active, but always had some nice words to say and agreed with everything TT said. Meanwhile, everyone else was in the shits working for her, never got promoted, but blank sure was getting promoted. So the document says, for context, this is the experience of an anonymous ex-staff who was also a moderator at 14 years old. The friend who was also a moderator being 13 years old, being the one to warn him instead. Age requirements have been added now, but for staff years back, it was extremely difficult time and is when staff, especially younger staff, were mostly neglected and disregarded by TT. Multiple ex-staff have come out about their experiences as staff in TTs, but years back around 2023, they claimed that TT ignored them and threw mods around like trash. Once again, an 18-year-old engaging in predatory behavior was just given a warn. No, this individual was not banned for their predatory behavior, they were banned because of the warn threshold. This 14-year-old was also exposed to things no 14-year-old should ever have to see as a mod, but of course, TT had ignored this individual in question. So this is a conversation, I'm assuming, by the 18-year-old that was engaging in predatory behavior. Black said, I'm so professional. I got warned like 6 times for being disturbing. I wasn't even disturbing. Blank is sensitive as fuck. White said, disturbing. Black said, those mods, dude, please don't talk about this. It can disturb others or some shit. White then said that those people, they should all commit. And going on next, White continues on saying that blank person. Coral says, God, blank is so stuck up, she is so unfunny. Gray asked, what blank person? And then Coral added that she doesn't even that they don't even know if she's good at art. White said their name is blank and they are very mental illness coded. Gray said, I don't even think she draws because I searched her name up in artwork and like no art came up, only her talking. Coral said, yeah, there's nothing. White said, I only found this, and it cuts off there. So these were the screenshots provided by the ex-staff correlating with their story. The individual that they mentioned who bullied younger staff had been promoted despite many mods and staff in general expressing their discomfort with them being a staff. Had said death threats against the 14-year-old. They spoke about her art level and just generally was disrespectful about towards the staff for doing their job. Reminder, this was said about a 14-year-old who was also TT staff. Despite the extremely disrespectful things this individual had said, how they bullied children on TT staff team, they were made a staff and even promoted. Other staff were working hard as trial helpers, etc. to not get promoted. This individual was promoted immediately, despite their extreme disrespect towards the staff team, which TT was aware of and that her staff was uncomfortable about. So this is like another thing. Okay, I'll cover this too. So Purple said, I'll try my darndest to stay awake. It's 2 a.m. on a school morning, but I got distrust. And responding to Green, they said, I just came back online. I'm sick, so I'm trying my best to clean up chat, so I apologize. Purple said, I'm screenshotting everything to show my fellow mods or helpers what we can improve on. We are not hiding anything or sweeping stuff under the rug. We are literally all teens or young adults. Spare us some patience. I'm trying to work as a staff, as a trial helper to present this. I'm making sure that every time there's a timeout or ban reported to me, I notify other mods or helpers to see why and how to fix it. So for context, these screenshots are of an anonymous trial helper who had to deal with the shutdown a couple of weeks back, which is the shutdown of the server and the revamp. They claimed that they were harassed in these channels and multiple staff who were as young as 14 had to deal with TT's issues. The staff were young and had nothing to do with these issues but were forced to keep helping and moderating regardless of her refusal to lock down the channel. This was before the minimum 16 plus age helper rule was implemented, and because that came after the server revamp. But the young helpers who could get as young as 14 still had to fix her issues, and even the staff who were currently dealing with the shutdown still had to deal with her issues as the channel stayed up. Claimed by the trial helper who reported this incident. Here's a few screenshots. I hope I can get more soon. Here's a little story behind each one as well. Number 1, I was asked by another moderator if I could stay up to moderate. Said moderator will not be mentioned because I don't hold grudges. I felt like I was supposed to stay up, and so I did. It was 2 a.m. on a school night, CTE time. When brought up to TT, not by me but other members of lack of sleep, she ignored it. Number 2 is that I was sick with the new COVID variant and suffering from severe asthma. I was literally wheezing and had to use nasal medicine to treat myself, but was too scared that if I didn't moderate without a notice, which I couldn't do because we needed a specific comeback date and I didn't know when I get better, I'd be demoted. 3 and 4 screenshots are from the server shutdown. Me and the other staff, including people as young as 14, were harassed in chat. Others were sent death threats or just threats in general in DMs, or even sent inappropriate photos. We told TT to please shut the chat down several times, and she said that I just wanted to see what people have to say about it despite the situation getting out of hand. Afterwards, she ghosted us and left us to deal with everyone, and the rest of these images are the staff reviews by ex-mods or ex-helpers that basically had terrible experiences, etc. So I've already covered all this, and editing me will basically add to whatever is needed. So that is it for this entire video, this entire drama thing and situation. I've covered the awareness document again, along with TT's response to the allegations and accusations. It is entirely your choice if you want to support her or continue to hate her or whatever you want to do, or just remain neutral about this entire situation and judge when there is actually a concrete answer as to whether TT is truly in the wrong or is truly problematic. But TT really has done some bad things, whether intentional or not. But at least she is now taking accountability for this, unlike previous times before. Thank you for watching to the end, and I will see you all in the next video. Hint, art tips. So prepare for that, because hopefully it will come out soon, or maybe next month, because I also have a lot of commissions to go through. So thank you.
Also, Battle Cats, please challenge me.